Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Nina Simone, and I help parents find peace, strength, and God's wisdom as they walk through the prodigal journey, especially when that journey leads into a painful and unexpected place. So, if your adult child is incarcerated right now, I want to speak directly to you. This season may feel heavy and discouraging or overwhelming, but God is not finished. Today's video is how God works behind bars. Because even when your child is confined, God is not. He has a long history of meeting people in places that look hopeless. So let's take a breath, blow it out. Now settle your heart because you are not alone. So God is not limited by walls. When a child is taken into custody, a parent often feels like the door to hope has slammed shut. But here's the truth: prison walls don't stop God, legal systems don't stop God, distance definitely doesn't stop God. Your child's mistakes does not stop God. He goes where your hands cannot reach. He speaks where your voice can't go. He works where your influence is limited. Even in confinement, God is writing a story bigger than this moment. God has a history of transforming lives behind bars. So, before we talk about your child's situation, I want to remind you of something powerful. Some of the most transformative moments in the Bible happened in confinement. God specializes in showing up when everything looks shut down. So, let's walk through a few examples. Let's take Joseph. He was wrongly imprisoned, but divinely positioned. Joseph's story in Genesis is one of the clearest pictures of God working behind bars. He didn't deserve prison. He was falsely accused. People forgot about him. And then his life seemed completely derailed at this point, right? But scripture says in Genesis 39th chapter and the 21st verse, the Lord was with Joseph in the prison. Notice, not just after he got out, it says God was with him in it. So while confined, Joseph, he gained wisdom, he developed leadership, interpreted dreams, he grew spiritually, and he was prepared for a purpose he couldn't see yet. So what looked like punishment became preparation. I understand this is not the exact scenario of your child, but parents, the same God who sat with Joseph in that cell can sit with your child today. Let's look at Jeremiah. Jeremiah was confined, but still called. Jeremiah was thrown into a cistern, then later confined in a courtyard prison. Why? Because some people didn't like the truth he spoke. But even in confinement, God gave Jeremiah one of the most encouraging promises. That is found in Jeremiah 33rd chapter and the third verse. Call to me, and I will answer you. So behind bars, Jeremiah heard God clearly. He received fresh revelation. He continued in his purpose. He wrote messages that still impact the world today. So just because your child is confined does not mean God has stopped speaking to them. Let's look at Daniel. Daniel was thrown into the lion's den, but he was protected by God. Daniel was sealed into a place that was meant for death. But even there, it says in Daniel 6 chapter, 22nd verse, My God sent his angel and shut the mouths of the lions. So, this reminds us God can protect your child even in environments that seem dangerous or overwhelming. Where you cannot watch them, God can. Where you worry, God covers. Your child is not out of God's reach. Now, let's look at Paul and Silas. They were imprisoned, but still worshiping. Paul and Silas were arrested and beaten and chained. And what did they do? They worshiped. Scripture says in Acts 16th chapter, 26th verse, suddenly there was an earthquake and everyone's chains came loose. So chains can break in the spirit before they break in the natural. Your child may feel bound right now by regret, shame, addiction, hopelessness, or their consequences. But God can shake the foundation of their thinking. He can loosen the chains of their heart. He can open spiritual doors and begin transformation long before they are released. Then, lastly, let's look at John the Baptist. He was imprisoned, yet still honored by Jesus. John spent his final days confined by a king who didn't want to hear truth. And while John wrestled with doubt, Jesus publicly affirmed him. Matthew 11th chapter 11th verse says, among those born of women, there has not risen anyone greater than John. So this shows that your child's values does not disappear because of where they are. God still sees their identity, not just their decisions. So understand that confinement can become a turning point. This isn't to glorify incarceration or minimize your pain, but confinement often creates something that freedom didn't: stillness, reflection, sobriety, awareness, humility, and a desire to change. For some prodigals, this is the first time in years they've slowed down long enough to hear God. And God is probably whispering, I'm still here. You're not forgotten. You can begin again. So, what feels like a breaking point for you may be a breakthrough moment for them. So, how does God work on the heart when they're behind bars? Transformation doesn't happen because a person is locked up. It happens because God begins to deal with the heart while they are at a place that they are still. Behind bars, your child may begin to experience conviction, clarity, sobering truth, accountability, emotional honesty, a long for something better, or a humble openness to God. Sometimes the quiet of confinement reveals who they truly want to become. Spiritual awakening can happen anywhere, even in a cell. So, your role as a parent in this season should consist of a few things. So, here's what you can do while waiting for God to work. Number one, you can pray consistently. Your prayers reach places you cannot. Pray for their heart, their safety, their clarity, and their future. You also, as a parent, need to set healthy boundaries. Loving them doesn't always mean rescuing them. Boundaries create a space for responsibility and growth. So, another thing, you must speak hope and not negativity. Your words matter. Even in your letters or short phone calls, your voice can be the voice of faith. You are not beyond God's reach. And then, fourthly, take care of yourself in your own heart. This journey affects you deeply also. Your emotional and spiritual wellness matters. Your peace matters. You cannot pour into them if you are empty. So, what can God bring out of this season? No parents want this path, but God can bring purpose out of the pain. Your child may come out of this season with a renewed faith, greater gratitude, a desire to rebuild, a clearer identity, a transformed mindset or renewed heart, and a testimony of redemption. Some prodigals meet God behind bars. Some come home changed. Some step into their calling because of what they learned in confinement. So this season does not define them, it refines them. So I hope something I said encouraged you. And if it has, please subscribe and stay connected because I create videos to support you, strengthen you, and walk with you through this journey with wisdom and grace. And if you like continued support for your heart and home during this season, visit my website, ninasimone.com, and it is across the screen. And remember, God is working, even behind bars, even in silence, and even in the places you cannot go. Hold on to hope. Your child's story is still being written. So thank you. I will see you, hopefully, in the next video.